Hello, I'm Amy Beaulieu. Welcome to Great Lengths. I am so excited to launch the new GL Tapes and GL Tapes Plus with you today, the newest addition to the Great Lengths line. Let me show you the hair. It's the same ethically sourced, non-chemically treated hair as the Fusion system. So as you can see, the tape line is 3 centimeters wide by only a half a centimeter deep, making it the smallest tape line on the market. And of course, that makes it much more natural in the hair and lightweight. Let me tell you a little bit about the tape line. Our tape line is very unique in the fact that our polyurethane strip is lined with tulle for strength and longevity. And for your reference, there's actually an instructional guide online that you could download with everything from the questionnaire for your clients to fill out within the consultation to the upkeep at the end. I always refer to the client questionnaire, which you'll find at the back of the instructional guide for your client to fill out. It is very important to have your clients fill out this questionnaire, so it's a reference that you can go back to as well as covering the cost, maintenance, and everything involved with wearing the GL tapes. Before any installation, what you need to do, and is the most important part about starting any installation, is using the Clean Remover shampoo. You must wash the hair at least 2 times, possibly 3, just to remove any residue or natural oil prior to the installation. And after using the Clean Remover shampoo, make sure that you're not using any conditioning products. You want that hair to be squeaky clean to ensure that the tapes don't slide. So then what you want to do is take your client back to the chair and blow dry their hair 100%, making sure that there's no moisture in the hair. And then take the flat iron section by section, just to ensure that when you apply the GL tapes, it is laying flat. The last thing that you do before you begin the install is texturize those ends. If you have any blunt lines whatsoever, you need to texturize appropriately so that the extensions actually blend in. If you skip this step, you're going to see the line within the extensions. All you have to do is explain to your client you're just texturizing, just shattering those little ends so that it all blends in and it all looks 100% natural. Depending on the application that you're trying to achieve and the end result as far as the desired look for your client, the GL tapes and GL Tapes Plus can actually serve many purposes, such as filling in a bang area, just adding volume, filling in the sides, or doing a full-on, full-length application. When you start your application, what you want to ensure is that you have very clean lines and clean sections. I mostly work with 4 different sections, 2 being at the front, 2 being at the back. Sometimes there's a 5th section at the bottom just for the nape, and then you work your way up. Now in any application, let's say you're filling in the sides or the bangs, you'll start on the sides and work your way up. The one thing that I want to point out actually is that there's always a voided section in this area. So during any application, in which I'll show you, is you're going to actually put one of the tapes right behind the ear just to ensure that you get this voided area, and then you're going to bricklay as you go up. And if you're uncertain what bricklay means, what you want to do is during the installation, you'll want to set the extensions up side by side. Now when you go to the next section, next row, what you want to do is ensure that you put an extension right in the middle of these 2 extensions, and that is what bricklay means. Now let me introduce you to our lovely model, Jacqueline. For the sake of this video, I've actually gone ahead and I've installed everything except for this side area, which I felt it was probably one of the most important parts of the installation, being that there's a voided area behind the ear, as well as working up and around the hairline into a sweeping bang. There is a way that we apply the extensions in order for it to be seamless and undetected. The reason why I felt that this was extremely important to show to you is as you go up and do very straight sections, what you want to do with the curvature of this style and around where her eye is, you're going to slightly angle the panels in order to blend in as her sweeping bang comes down. And now to continue the installation, what I'm doing is sectioning the first section above the ear, approximately 1.5 inches, to connect with where I left off and fill in this voided area behind the ear. You can't really see the extensions because they are seamless, but I will be starting behind the ear and putting one forward and then bricklaying as we go up. What you want to do is make sure that this section is nice and tight. Put the clip in, and if there's any little pieces, as always, what we want to do is make sure you put another little clip to keep them away. And if you have to double up, feel free to double up, because you're always going to have these little guys peeking out. And what I've done too, I've used 4 different shades in order to achieve the desired look for Jacqueline. What I've done is I've actually put a lot of the lighter tones behind the ears, so as we finish this look, she's gonna have these beautiful, beautiful highlights towards her face. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue with the lighter shade behind the ear and towards the front, and then build up with the darker tones. Keep in mind, you never wanna touch that tape line. You always want to ensure that you don't get any natural oils. So upon peeling, grab a hold of the hair. Now what you want to do is take an extremely thin section to ensure that the bottom and top panel adheres to one another, okay? You'll want to lift this panel up and place it 1/4 inch down just to give a little bit of leeway. And put it into the client's hair, and any little pieces that are jutting up, what you want to do, again, do not use your fingers because of your natural oils. Just use the tail end of the comb, go down, and then pick up your next section that will go right on top. Again, not touching the tape line, pulling it away from that panel and placing it right on top of the existing one that you've already installed. What you want to do is press down. We always say 3. Work with 3s. And work your way out just to ensure that you're getting the bubbles out. Okay, any air that's in there, you'll want to work your way out onto the ends. Do a little squeeze, and your final step will be using the Great Lengths tool to just go over and squeeze. Again, 3 times. This ensures that you get all air bubbles out, and it's a seamless installation. Now what you want to do is take another fine section right next to the panel that we just installed. Lift up, 1/2 inch down, press in. Again, do not use your fingers, use the top of or the end of the tail comb, and then apply your next panel over top. Very important to push into it to make sure that they adhere to one another. Take your Great Lengths tool. 3 taps are key. Just to ensure that there are no air bubbles. And now what we're going to do is do our section above and create the bricklay that I was talking about earlier. Again, removing any loose hairs that will get in your way. Okay, to do the bricklay, we're going to go in between these 2 panels that are below. Again, taking a very, very small section, very thin section. Lift it up. Place it underneath and push from underneath. Any loose hairs, you'll want to take your tail comb and just go down. and then install the top section right on top. You always want to ensure that there are no air bubbles, so go from the middle to the end 3 times. Push those air bubbles out, and then go in with your Great Lengths tool and tap 3 times. So again, taking a very thin section. Always make sure that you can see your tail comb underneath that section. What you want to ensure is that the tape actually sticks to one another, okay? You'll want to lift this panel up, put it right down, push, put your tail comb over top. If for some reason there's any little loose hairs, let's say that are coming down that don't belong in that section, just again, put them up and clamp them down before you go to put your top panel on. And now we'll work up towards the front with our next section. And we're going to slightly angle everything now because we've gone with these straight sections. The way the hairline curves, we're going to actually slightly angle the next row. With any installation, you always want to make sure you know what your end result is and how the hair lies. Again, get these little pieces up into a clip so it doesn't interfere with the installation. I usually work with 2, makes it a lot easier. 3 with the bigger sections. And again, we're going to start our bricklay. Now with this one here, we'll start above the section that I just did and then work our way towards the front. Okay. Again, go above that one section in between the 2 panels. Do a very, very thin layer. Lift this panel up 1/4 of an inch, lay flat, push in underneath, not touching the top panel with your finger. We don't want any natural oil. Push down with your tail comb. There's a little piece right here sticking down, so I'll want to put that up so it doesn't interfere with the installation. Now I'll go in with my top panel. And you want to push from the middle out 3 times just to ensure that you're getting all the air bubbles out. It's all about foundation in any application. And then go in with your Great Lengths tool and tap 3 times to ensure that the air bubbles are out. Now with this panel, I'm actually going in with the lighter panel. Always remember, again, very, very fine sections right up beside the one that you've applied before. And what you want to do is lift up and drop it down to 1/4 of an inch. Push up. Any little pieces that are on top with your tail comb. If for some reason there's any of these little pieces that fall down, you'll want to put them up in your clip to ensure the best installation. And then I'll go over this panel with my top panel, push from the middle out 3 times, And then for assurance, to get all the bubbles out, you'll want to go in with your Great Lengths tool 3 times. Now as I work up, I want these beautiful highlights around her face, but then I'll be applying the darker panels towards the top to blend in her own hair. Now our next section, we're going to slightly angle again, keeping in mind that we're filling in this bang area. It is so important, especially above the ear, and that there's less hair on the side as the nape and the back of the head. So what you want to ensure is make sure that they're beside one another. But towards the back, it isn't always the case. You could actually leave more of a space, but just always ensure that the next row you're bricklaying and you're filling in that voided area to have a seamless installation. Again, it's all about how the hair falls. You want it to be as natural as possible. Precise is key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with just one step up around the face, a little lighter, and then I will build again with the darker pieces. What you want to do within any Great Lengths installation for the GL tapes is ensure that you're not putting it right up against the hairline or the bottom where the neckline is, to ensure that your client can actually tie their hair back into a ponytail. Now, with the exception to filling in the bang, this section right here, that I will be putting a panel, we're still going to have her hair covering the panel, but as you see, it's going to go over this section. So in this case, she always wears her hair going over to the side with that sweeping bang. So what you're going to encourage your client to do is actually pull that hair back in the ponytail towards the side, never up to show the panels. Again, keep in mind that bricklay, I'm putting it towards the front, so I want to have the end of the next section starting here going forward. And also to take you back to the questionnaire, the one question is, how does the client like to wear their hair? And the reason why that question was designed is simply for the fact of getting to know the client as far as, do they always wear their hair up? That really depends on how you're going to install. Or are they one, they blow dry their hair and it stays the same all day long? You really want to get to know your client from that questionnaire. So that is why it is of utmost importance. Again, in this section, I'm going to be bricklaying as I go up. Now, one panel is coming forward. In the next section, I'll show you how you can cut those panels to get the desired size that you'd like if you need to complete a bricklay, but the length of the panel is too long. But in this section, we'll do the regular installation. So again, as I'm installing this, when I said that I'm slightly angling this part, your installation is always going to be in line with that parted area. Always keep that in mind. Notice how it's falling into her face and where her hairline curves. So what I'm going to do now around her face is rather than putting both of the dark panels or both of the light panels, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to put the light underneath with the dark on top in order to have a seamless blend. I still want the lightness around her face, but I want the dark area to actually shadow it over top. In the Great Lengths case, we have the Great Lengths scissors. It's not always necessary to cut the extensions. However, if need be, if you have a section that doesn't allow for the longer panel, what you want to do is make sure that they're still on the panel and cut from the top going down rather than putting the scissors into the hair, okay? What you want to do, usually it's about cutting them halfway, sometimes going around the hairline. You need to use a smaller piece. So go right down with your shears. So with this section, what I want to do is incorporate two different tones. So because I want the lightness around Jacqueline's face, I'm actually going to put the lightest tone underneath and then adhere it with the darker tone on top so that it is a seamless blend with her own hair when everything falls down. So same installation, just two different colors. This is a way of blending as well with the GL tapes. So now we're at the end of our application. I'm going to do the last row, taking into account the bricklay method. I cannot put a full panel in the front. So I'm going to show you two different things. We're going to cut the GL tape and the GL tape plus, and we're going to use two different tones because again, I still want that highlight around her face. So because I'm not using the whole panel, I'm just going to cut the top one in half. Same small section. Again, putting the lighter piece underneath. And then we'll go in on top with our GL tapes plus. Same rules apply. You want to make sure that there are no air bubbles. You're just working with a smaller piece. As you can see, the GL Tapes Plus are really beautiful in that the hair covers the tape line, making the extension much less detectable in the client's hair. It's not necessary to use the Tapes Plus everywhere, only in the finer areas around the face, or close to the crown or part line. They're meant for anywhere the attachment site may be seen more easily. You would only ever use GL Tapes Plus as the top piece of the panel, because the bottom piece's tape line is never seen anyway. You're going to love the Tapes Plus. So now the installation is complete, and now we have a seamless installation, even prior to cutting. So now the next step would be to cut the desired style into the Great Lengths. First and foremost, you want to blend the extensions into the existing hair. Now in Jacqueline's case, it blends perfectly. Always keep in mind the extensions might be a little flyaway, so you'll want to use your anti-tap just to control the flyaways while you're cutting especially, and that's something that the client can take home as well. I work on the principle of using 3 basic sections. I always start in the front and bring the panel behind the ear. I never want to lose what I always achieve is building up behind the ear, that voided area that we discussed earlier. My first section, I like to bring everything forward. Keep in mind, in Jacqueline's case, we don't have much to blend in. Her hair actually blends in beautifully with the extensions. However, if you had a client that you needed to blend in, always take into account that the more the elevation of the layers, the more layers you're going to create, the more steps you're going to create. In most of my installations, I like to have very seamless, soft layers. So I bring everything forward, and in this case, I'm actually just going to slice, going down very, very gently. And this is just so that we see that little bit of layer towards the front. And then I bring it forward again just to make sure that everything comes down together. Now I'll start my second section. I always go in between the installed sections, clipping this back out of the way, bringing this forward. I will do the exact same thing. Again, if you need to use your anti-tap, you want a very soft layer with Jacqueline's hair. I want to just get rid of that corner at the bottom and soften it out. Now next, our third section. Again, bring it forward. Now we do have a portion of our own hair falling down here, so this is going to be my guide in order to blend the last section in with Jacqueline's hair. Again, getting rid of that corner. And what I'll do as well is taking a small triangle section from the top of her eye, because I want this to sweep back. Again, we need a little anti-tap to control the frizz or the flyaways. Using her hair as the guide, I'm going to start my layer going back. And this is just a very soft layering effect, so that when we go to style, everything blends in seamless. So now here's Jacqueline cut complete. Your desired style can be what you choose. At this point, we're going to show you how easily they are removed, retaped, and reinstalled. Now this is the Great Lengths Bond Remover. We're going to take out this panel. This is probably at its strongest to remove because we just placed it. What you want to do is you want to soak it, spray it down with the removal solution. You want to work it into the bond with your tail comb. Just work it in. If you need to use some extra, like this little side is giving me a problem, just put a little extra on there and slide your tail comb in, always maintaining your finger underneath. The reason being is that it's more comfortable for the client. Work it in. And then what you can do, as this top panel's coming down, release it and work it in, and it'll just slide right out. No damage to the client's hair. So this is the panel that I removed. We can retape, usually up to 3 times. And what we want to do is we want to cleanse with the Great Lengths shampoo, and then we want to dry completely. Then take off that tape part and then reinstall. Great Lengths has these replacement tapes that you're going to adhere back onto the panel. What you want to do is take one section off, and put it right onto that existing panel. And then it's ready to go back into the client's hair. GL Tape and GL Tapes Plus comes in many different colors, so you can be as creative as your client will allow you to be. In order to maintain the longevity of your client's installation, it's always important to send your client home with the Great Lengths product in this beautiful gift pack. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your Great Lengths tapes.